My name is Linda. I just want to say what a beautiful life I lived. I lived a good life at home. It was a thorough life. It was a strong life. The way we lived was perfect. No fighting, no arguing, no cussing. A surviving life, but it was a very good life. I was born on July 12th, 1946 in Sanger, California. My grandparents came to the United States at Alish Island from Italy. And my dad met my mom. They got married and had us 3 children. We lived in Fresno, California, but when I was born, my 2 sisters and I, when they were born too, we all were born in Sanger, California. My mom and dad were perfect. And when I mean perfect, I never saw them argue. I never saw them fight. I never heard them raise their voice. They never cussed. They treated us like we were perfect little princesses. That's what my dad used to call us. They had their little rules that we had to go by, and if we didn't follow them, we ran. But not far, because my mother would catch us. But we did follow their rules. We did exactly how they wanted us to live and how to grow up and be good people. I got married on February 8th, 1969. I married my first husband. I went with him when I was in school at Fresno High School. I graduated in 1964. He went into the Vietnam War, and when he came home, we got married. He was a sailor on the USS Ticonderoga. I was married. I could remember the first meal I cooked for my husband after our honeymoon. I made chili beans for him, which I was so excited because I love chili beans. And he came home from work. He looked at the food and he said, "What's this? Crap." And he got a cigarette and smashed it in the beans and said, "I don't like kidney beans. I like red beans." That was one incident. So from then on, it went downhill. But I still kept holding on, thinking, he's gonna go right back to where he was, because I still loved him. I remembered everything good about him. And I thought, I shouldn't have done that. I did what I was always told by him. That's what he wanted. I found out later on I was slapped, spit at in the face. One time he was so angry with me that he dragged me over to the toilet and held my head under the water and picked it back up. And one time I actually got so mad at him that I jumped on him, and I wanted to punch him, but I was afraid if I did punch him, he would punch me back. So he threw me off of him because I popped a button off of his shirt, and he went in my closet, grabbed my clothes, and ripped blouses and my dresses. Totally ripped them in half. I thought the life I was going to live with my husband was going to be just as kind and loving as sweet that I had when I lived at home, but it wasn't. He was the most horrible person that I have ever known. The way he treated me, the way he talked to me, and the things that he did to me to hurt me. But I was in love with him because I remember the things that he did when we went with each other. It's in school and when we was going with each other after. And that's what I hung on to in life. When I was 32 years old, it took me 5 years to get the guts to divorce him. I was 37 years old when I divorced him. And he was a Fresno City firefighter. Everybody thought he was wonderful. Nobody would think that he could do anything because I never told anybody. The day that he totally crossed the line is when we were having our dinner. My dinner was chili beans again. My first meal I cooked for him was chili beans. The second meal I cooked when I made chili beans, and that's when I divorced him. He got the bowl, the plate, and he threw it at the ceiling. It broke into, it shattered, it just shattered. Beans flew all over the kitchen. It flew all over the drapes. I had just finished wallpapering the kitchen. I ran outside. He caught me, he grabbed me by my hair, brought me in the house, dragging me, threw me on the floor. As he kicked me and hit me and threw water on me and did everything else to hurt me. And then he said, clean it up. But then the doorbell rang, which was his friends. His friend and his wife, and they came in. And that's when I was in the back room with the kids. And that's when I said, I'm getting a divorce. She came back. She said, Linda, are you okay? I said, no. She says, the boys look like they had a lot of fun. I says, who told you the boys did that? She said, Gary. I said, no. The boys did not do it. Gary did it. I says, and I'm going to be divorcing him. My dad always told me that you treat people the way you want to be treated. You talk to people the way you want to be talked to. My dad told me, if something is bothering you about your husband, you don't go up to him and start screaming and hollering. You go up to him and say, honey, can we talk? So I did that, and he listened to me all the time when I'd say, can we talk? Then it got to the point where he said, I don't effing want to hear from you again. I don't care what you effing think. If you don't like it, you and the boys get effing out of this house. It's my house. I paid for it. You do nothing to earn money. So I did as I was told. I went back to him. And I stayed with him, and I had another child. And he was still very abusive. I have 2 boys that are totally my life. And I am so proud of who they are today. They understood because they saw what he was doing to me. One time, Gary kicked me out of the bed. And one time I went, Scott was sound asleep in his room in his twin bed, and Duffy, Jeffrey, was in his bed. So I went ahead and went into Jeffrey's bedroom, and I laid down, and he wakes up and he looks at me and he goes, Mama, he says, I love you. And I saw Duffy, I says, Mama loves you too. And this was the day, the next day was the day that I decided I was going to file for divorce. So then I was up all night, did not go to sleep. I heard his alarm go off. He came into the bedroom and he stood by the bed with his knees up against the mattress, and I pretended I was sleeping. I did not move. I just slept, pretended I was sleeping, and it was scary because I did not know, was he gonna bend down and give me a kiss and say, honey, I'm sorry? And then there I am, right back where I started, going through it all again. And I decided, no. So as soon as he left, as soon as I heard the garage door shut, is when I jumped up, ran to the window, saw the car drive off, and then at 8 o'clock got on the phone and started calling attorneys. And the boys were very happy because they didn't want to be around that. They didn't want to see their mother get hurt. They were my babies. They're my life, and I was their mama. I even have a pin. 1985, we love you. I was divorced for 1 year. The first time I filed for divorce, when the attorney was asking me questions, why and how and when all this stuff happened, I told him the truth. And then that's when he said, well, you know, you're 25 years old. I've said this before, 25, and you don't have a job. You don't make any money. You don't make any house payments. For me, I think my advice to you is go back to your husband. I put my head down and I cried. Okay, so the second time came around, I got a hold of a lady, and her name was Pamela Stone. I say that because I would give anything to see if I could see her today. She's the one that saved my life. She knew what kind of person I was. She knew that I had to be told what to do, what to say, just by talking to her on the telephone. Okay, so I went over there to see her, and I told her everything. And she looked at me after talking to her. She says, he will never wipe shit in your face again. Excuse me for the language. She says, you are going to divorce him. You are not going to talk to him again. You are not going to see him again. She says, if anything happens, you are going to call me. And I put my head down and cried. She came up to me. She says, what's wrong? And I says, I didn't want to get a divorce. And she put her hands on my shoulder and she shook me a little bit. And she says, listen to me. Nobody wants to get a divorce, but he did this to you and he will never do it to you again. You are going to leave him. When I first married my husband, like I said, I thought I was going to have the kind of life that I lived at home, but it wasn't that way. I just hung on to my husband knowing that he's going to get back that good man that I married, but it didn't work out that way. Probably months before I decided, I told him, I says, you have to understand something. I am in a cement circle. And I've been building cement and I've been putting bricks on this. And right now I'm inside this and I don't see anything but a little tiny square, one more brick, and I'm holding that brick in my hand. Please don't let me get that brick and put it in that hole. Because if I put that brick, it's going to seal that hole. And when I seal it, you will never see me again. It's going to be over. But I'm warning you and I'm telling you, you've got to stop this. So I tried from 1969 to 1983, because in January 4th of 1984 is when I filed for divorce. He would not listen to me. I lived with Gary from 1969 to 1984. And when I did get divorced, my life was with the kids. After the divorce, the next day that I woke up, I was at my mom's house. And like I said, I was kind of not knowing. Everything was just like I was in another world, and I knew I wasn't going to see him anymore. I was really quiet, but when they took me back to the house to live there with the kids is when I walked into the bedroom and I opened our closet, and all of his clothes were gone. I sat down on the ground in the closet and I cried, and I said, why did you have to do this? But I do remember saying to myself, I said, why did you have to do this? he took away every good memory that I had of him. So when I think of him today, I think of all the horrible, mean, and ugly things he did to me. I can't think of one good memory, not even when I was going with him, what I was holding on to. I don't even think of that. Don't even think of it. I can't even remember why. I just cannot explain it, how someone that was so kind and so much fun before we got married turned into an ugly person. It was quite a while, because when I got divorced in 1984, it wasn't until 1996 is when I got married. And I had a girlfriend who said, Linda, she says, when she got divorced from her husband, no, I'm sorry, her husband passed away. That's what it was. Her husband passed away. And she says, Linda, she says, come on, she says, will you come out with me? I says, where are we gonna go? She says, let's go to a bar and have a couple of drinks and dance. I says, a bar? I can't do that. And she says, why? I said, because I've never been to a bar, they're not good. She says, why aren't they good? I said, because you could get in trouble there. She says, how can you get in trouble? We're gonna go have a drink and we're gonna go dance. Well, I was scared to go, but she talked me into doing it. And after I went twice, I wanted to go every weekend. We had fun, we danced, we had some drinks, but not where you would get drunk. We just had maybe our limit, our 2 drinks, and the guys asked us to dance and everything. And I met this one guy that I thought, oh, he was so cute, and I just totally fell in love with him. Why? Because he was nice to me. That's what I wanted in life, someone just to be nice to me. The first time I met Ron was in 1993, I think it was, 93 or 94. And I was having coffee with some friends. When I worked, they said, let's go out and have coffee in the mornings. And I said, okay. So that was fun for me, because I got to sit with the girls that I worked with and we had coffee. And then there was a guy that also came and had coffee with us. Well, he knew Ron. So he introduced Ron and I together to each other. And we had fun. We talked a little bit. And then he came back and I gave him my phone number and he wanted to come over and take me out. But I didn't want him to know where I lived. That was my biggest fear, is letting somebody know where I live, because I was protected there at the house. I felt like this was my house. Nobody could ever hurt me again. But I was afraid to let somebody know where I lived. Even when I dated the guys on the first date, I would go meet them somewhere. Then being with them, seeing what kind of people they are, then they came to my house. And he asked me to go out with him, and we dated. And one time we had some kind of little argument, and I thought, oh, I don't like him anymore, and he don't like me anymore. So he calls me later on, a couple of days later, and he wanted to take me out to dinner. And he wanted to know where I wanted to go. And I told him, Taco Bell. He goes, Taco Bell? Don't you want to go somewhere nice for dinner? I says, well, what's wrong with Taco Bell? So then he fell in love with me, because I went to Taco Bell and I didn't go for these other big places. So we dated for about a year and everything. We had fun. And one day he takes me over to my sister's house, and both my sisters were there and their husbands. And we're standing there talking, and all of a sudden he gets down on his hands and knees. And I says, what are you doing? And he pulls his ring out and he says, will you marry me? And I says, oh my gosh. He says, I want to take you to Hawaii on our honeymoon. I says, oh my gosh. I says, can Cootie and Duffy come too? That's my 2 boys. And his eyes got real big, because he knew that if he said no, I probably wouldn't marry him, but I would have married him. But he took Scott and Duffy on our honeymoon to Hawaii, and we got married on on my birthday, on my 50th birthday, July 12th, 1996. And it was so cute because I'll never forget that. But he did get rooms for the kids, and he put them up two stories higher than we were. I wanted them right next door to us, but it never worked out that way. But it was just something else. It was so sweet, so nice. My family's reactions when they met him, they absolutely loved him. My mother was so cute. She really liked him. My sister Nancy, she used to help at bingo at the school. And Ron, for years, he used to go play bingo at Hoover High School in Fresno. And he would always come in with a different girl all the time. So I told her the first time, I said, "Oh, Nancy," I says, "I want you to meet my boyfriend." She says, "Okay." She says, "Why don't you bring him to," she worked at Weinstock's, just handing little perfumes out. And then we walked in, and when we walked towards her, and I was walking with him, she goes, because she remembered him from bingo bringing all the girls in. But then after Ron talked to her and everything, you know, she fell in love with him too. She's a sweetheart. She just loved him. He's cute now. This sweetheart. He's a nice man. But really, when we got together, the things that he did for me around the house, something that Gary never did. He was polite. He was so kind to me, something that I wanted in life so bad. He was so nice. I wanted to find a nice person. And then after we got married, I kind of changed, and when people were angry with me, or not angry with me, but talked in a tone of voice that reminded me of my past, I came unglued. I leashed right back at them. I did not let them get away with it, because the way they talked to me, I came back with an answer to them, was in the tone of voice and some nasty words. But with Ron, he never has done that. The best words for a marriage life is that when you love someone, you don't want to hurt them. If they love you, they should not be hurting you. They should not be mistreating you. You should not mistreat them. Love is the most important thing in life. You've got to treat each other with love. You've got to talk to each other with love. There's no need to be hollering. There's no need to be using vulgar language. And when you have children around, you need to teach your children to love and respect people. And that means everybody. I do believe in karma. And the reason I believe in karma is because when someone is so ugly and he knows how wrong and how ugly he was, and people might know who I'm talking about, my ex-husband, he ended up shooting himself. That was karma for him. I thought the life I was going to live with my husband was going to be just as kind and loving as sweet that I had when I lived at home, but it wasn't. Because I told him, "Please don't ever let me leave. Change. Because if it doesn't change and I'm gone, I will never come back." And that's what happened. So he got karma.